And transitioning to the NFL. So the NFL, I dropped in the teaser, dropped a bombshell to open up this morning. Huge news to start this morning in the NFL. They revealed that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Dallas Cowboys, are kicking off the 2021 NFL season, and they even revealed the entire slate of Week 1 games headlining the NFL season. Really exciting stuff. But what's funny is the NFL often reveals what they think of teams and which teams they value the most in Week 1, especially in their game to kick off the season. And the NFL is a shrewd business operator. You could argue that they operate more shrewdly than perhaps any of the other major leagues in sports because they recognize the bottom line. The bottom line is revenue. The bottom line is viewership and eyeballs. And so what do? They pick the most popular player in the NFL and the most popular, the most recognizable, the most valuable team in sports in America, and they slate them to open up the season. It's absolutely brilliant. You got Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers, and the Dallas Cowboys. Tom Brady and the return of Dak Prescott. The Super Bowl 55 MVP and perhaps the most talked about and discussed quarterback the past 3 off seasons in Dak Prescott. And the money is a really important factor here because this is the ultimate money grab for the NFL, an ultimate money grab for NBC, who's going to be covering this game. Because when you look at the top 30 most watched and highest rated NFL games last year, the two teams that were a part of the most watched games in the NFL last year in the regular season, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was 6. 6 of the top 30 most watched games included the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Dallas Cowboys, who were part of 7 of the top 30 most watched NFL games last season. The Bucs played in the most watched NFL game last year, the season opener against the New Orleans Saints, and the Dallas Cowboys playing the Giants at home in Week 3 was the 3rd most highest watched game in the NFL last year. And get this. This is the amazing thing. You look at some of the other teams. The Saints were a part of 5 of the top 30 most watched NFL games last year, and 2 of those games involved the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady. The Rams were a part of 2 of the top 30 most watched NFL games last year, one of which was against the Cowboys in the season opener. The Seahawks were a part of 4 of the top 30 most watched games of the season last year. One of their opponents was the Dallas Cowboys. The Bears were a part of 2 of the top 30 most watched NFL games last year, one of which included the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Packers, this huge Packers brand, since the Lombardi Trophy was essentially named after them, this huge Packers recognizable brand, they weren't a part of many. They were only a part of 2 of the top 30 most watched NFL games last year, and one of which was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Browns even were part of 2 of the most watched games last year, and one of which was against the Cowboys. The Falcons. There was only one game the Falcons were a part of last year that was one of the top 30 most watched games last season. And you can guess who that was against. The Dallas Cowboys in that bizarre onside kick failure. So what's interesting is you look at Tom Brady, and Tom Brady has, first of all, been a part of the most NFL kickoff games by an NFL player with 4. And he's won the most of those NFL kickoff games with 3 since it became a thing in 2002. So it's a very shrewd move from the NFL. And what they're saying is they want the most assuredness. They want the game that they know without a shadow of a doubt will drive up the most viewership and the most revenue possible. This is their way of making up for all those lost ticket sales last year and less TV revenue last year. This is their way of recouping all of that money. And then when you look at the 2 teams that have driven up the most consistent viewership from last season, the Bucs and the Cowboys, now those 2 teams are slated against one another to open up the season. And from an actual X's and O's standpoint, and when you look at the matchup itself, of course, it's captivating. It's going to be extremely entertaining. You got the Super Bowl champs, Tom Brady returning. All 22 starters from that Tampa Bay Buccaneers starting lineup in the Super Bowl are returning, going up against the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott's big return, Ezekiel Elliott, all the weapons that they have, Dan Quinn finally getting a chance to institute and implement his new defensive scheme, Micah Parsons, big brand Dallas Cowboys. This is what you crave. It's going to be absolutely fantastic of a matchup. And some of the other notable week 1 matchups, you have the Jets at the Panthers. So Sam Darnold going up against his former squad. That will be extremely entertaining and fun to watch. Going up against the guy in Zach Wilson, who the Jets drafted number 2 overall as the quarterback to replace him. You have the Seahawks at the Indianapolis Colts. Russell Wilson going up against Carson Wentz now in the new look Colts uniform. A potential, perhaps 2 Super Bowl contenders competing in week 1. And then you've got the Browns at the Chiefs. A rematch of the AFC divisional round playoff matchup last season and 2 of the top teams in the AFC, perhaps an AFC championship preview. So week 1 is going to be fascinating. Grab your popcorn and just get comfortable on the couch because that's where you're going to be posted all throughout that weekend. And it isn't surprising at all that the NFL got this right. Super Bowl champs, Tampa Bay, and the most popular sports franchise in America, the Dallas Cowboys, in week 1.